This episode is brought to you in part by Food Service Consulting Society International, the Americas. Visit us at fcsi.org to find the best food service consulting experts.
I'm Charles Starks, President and CEO of the Music City Center in Nashville, Tennessee. And let me introduce you a little bit today to the Music City Center. Nashville needed to fill with some expanded convention space in our downtown urban setting. And so as I came on, a big part of what I had to do was be kind of the cheerleader to go out and tell the story of why we needed to build this facility. And it had to look like a center that you'd see nowhere else. We then went to TVS. TVS was selected as our lead architect, lead design firm.
My name is Rob Svedberg. I'm a principal with TVS Design. We've designed 4 of the nation's 5 largest convention centers and over 80 projects around the world. The functionality of a convention center is something that we understand intimately. The Music City Center is a 2 million square foot convention center with 350,000 square feet of exhibit hall, a 60,000 square foot ballroom, and 120,000 square feet of meeting space. The building needs the customers to come back again and again. And one of the most important things that the customers respond to is the quality of the food service, the range of the food offerings, and how well it's presented and prepared.
I'm Michael Pantano, and I'm an FCSI consultant. I'm principal of Culinary Advisors, a Maryland-based design consulting firm. I think it's critically important that every kitchen have a professional designer involved. In most cases, I'd like to say that that's an FCSI consultant because to achieve professional status, we've had to demonstrate our competence and our body of knowledge and our understanding of the entire process. As a designer, I tend to think of a facility from the dock out to the customer. At the end of the project, you look at it from the customer back in, but that's where you start because my job is making the facility function.
And what we learned in the programming of the Music City Center, that the ballroom was really going to be the key space in the building. It was the space for all the general assembly spaces, all the local banquets, and had to be a space that was singular and spectacular. The inspiration for Music City Center was really Nashville's unique place in Tennessee between the Great Smoky Mountains and the Mississippi River and the beautiful rolling hills. It was also what the brand identity of Nashville is, which is music. The inspiration for the interior spaces of the convention center was really, what would it feel like to be inside of a mandolin? What would it feel like to be inside of a guitar? What would it feel like if your meeting was inside of a beautiful grand piano?
Another thing that was very important to me personally, having worked a number of years ago in a kitchen environment during college, was that we wanted a very bright, light area for our staff to work in.
As a chef, I'm always concerned about the aesthetic because cooks are people too.
We're all trying to recruit culinarians and people to work in kitchens today, that they were proud of the workspace, proud of the equipment that they had, and that they were able to enjoy coming to work every day, because we know they work an awful lot of long hours.
Most kitchens are down in the bowels of a building someplace because wherever daylight exists is premium space. And so we worked very hard and kept things low to allow all of that daylight to come into the kitchen. Extraordinarily uncommon, but very beneficial happenstance of design that benefited the kitchen. And the food service really is throughout the building. It's woven into the fabric of the building. Every facility type that you design has something about it that really becomes kind of an overarching goal. And for a convention center, that overarching goal is flexibility. On one day, it could be a dinner for 4, and that's the only food service in the building. And the very next day, you might have a banquet for 6,000. For example, the kitchen, for all of its size, only has about 25% of its floor area that's given over to fixed equipment that can't be moved. The cooking line and the things related to the exhaust hoods. Everything else, to the greatest extent possible, is mobile.
So there are no fixed concession stands in the Music City Center. There isn't a fixed dining area or food court. This building was designed so that those activities could really happen anywhere within the facility.
This is a 1.2 million square foot facility, so we've got a lot of real estate to cover from point A to point B. So part of that design was an elaborate system of coolers and other holding areas scattered throughout the facility, so that in turn, while we're producing things in the kitchen, we're able to get it to the point where it'll actually be served or where the food may be taking place that day, and get to hold it there so we can continue moving forward in the kitchen, prepare the next meal.
Most facilities do in fact start with the menu, but there are a number of project types where the menu's known only generically. A convention center goes from knowing the menu generically to not knowing it at all. The catering spaces, the meeting rooms and the junior ballroom, are able to handle buffets, cocktail parties, breakouts, coffee breaks, and all of that has to happen, kind of what happens in a hotel. You're looking at the size of the building. Well, guess what? Every square foot of building has a cost associated with it. This building started getting a little more expensive than the budget would allow. And so one of the things that we had to do was shrink elements of the building. And one of the things that got shrunk was the kitchen. There was an area behind the cooking line that we had envisioned to use for storage. Well, they had to literally move that wall in a little bit as part of this whole cost-saving measure. And what we wound up with was a much more abbreviated storage space than we had originally envisioned. Fortunately, we were able to take over some adjacent space to make up the shortfall, but in fact, those kinds of things happen.
Part of what we also wanted to really focus on was what are we doing sustainability-wise. We have a 4-acre green roof. We have over a 210 kW solar farm on top of our grand ballroom roof. We have our own honeybees on site, so we're producing honey for the kitchen. We're going to get an awful lot of rainwater on this surface. And so one of the very early design elements that we talked about was how do we capture that rainwater and reutilize it throughout the facility. So we designed a 360,000 gallon rainwater storage tank. And in turn, we use that to irrigate all the plants that are on the roof, also all the landscaping around the facility, and we utilize that to flush all the toilets and urinals throughout the building. That has led in the first 3 years for us to a 54% savings in water usage. And then from a sustainability standpoint, how could we really have a kitchen design and a food and beverage operation that really worked extremely well with all of our local farmers so that we have a farm-to-table concept in food and beverage as well.
Well, the collaboration with Michael and with Charles really succeeded beyond our wildest dreams. Michael was really a key member of the Music City Center team. His expertise was really essential for the building to be the overall success that it is.
You can look at the bookings, you can look at the public perception.
Our food sales have over doubled what we had projected initially, and we've become known in Nashville as a place to go to for food. Not the convention center to go to, but a place to go to for food.
All of that is the result of collaboration. There were many professionals involved in this project. Part of that is the food service, and I think the food service has been quite successful. The architect understanding what had to happen for the kitchen, the owner stating a vision and marshaling us through to achieve his goals. And I think Music City Center speaks for itself.